Hey, Liberty North AP Psych testers. Hope the AP Psych testing period is going well. Hope you're able to take some breaks between testing. So today's going to be our last live stream. This is going to be prep session number 12. After this, I think you should be good to go. Please email me at any point with any questions, but make sure you access your survival guide on Canvas for AP testing, and then see me with any questions. I think most of you probably have taken a test by now, and maybe not. This is Thursday of the first week. So, but again, if you've taken one, then you've practiced the technology. But if you have not, make sure you go in and do your kind of walkthrough with the technology that was open on May 4th. Okay. All right. So we finished up yesterday with just some kind of a way to practice for question number 1 using the essential questions that are in each unit. Again, those are going to be the important questions you need to answer. Okay. Now, generally, they're big and they're vague, and you can bring a lot of stuff into it. But that's generally what you're going to have is the foundation, the fundamental element of free response number 1 and 2. Okay. And then we talked about a good thing to do is go through all of the essential questions, which I actually have listed for Unit 1 and Unit 2. So if you remember that before you took the tests, I have those actually listed for you on 2 docs on Canvas under announcements. So go back all the EQs, make sure you can answer them at the core, all right, completely answer the question, and then go each chapter and try to pull out one vocab term that you could apply and use in that answer, okay? All right. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with number 2. So free response number 2, which we've already really covered, but again, a way to practice for it. Again, this is going to be your research critique question, okay? All right, so this one's going to be the shorter one. All right, you're not really going to have a lot of time to look anything up on this one, so I think this will be a good one to practice as well. All right, this is all chapter 1, all right, which was research methods, okay? So AP learning targets, vocab, all right? And then also you want to access your journal critique, right, that you did, the paper that you wrote, the actual critique of the research that you did. This is why we do that. One of the reasons is to help prepare you. So you've already critiqued your research. So you should be good with whatever they give you, but just make sure you brush up on the sections, what they mean, what the terms stand for. And then you can also go to Canvas and access the journal critique doc. Okay, the outline and information that we went through at the beginning of the year that actually defines some terms and tells you what you need to critique for. Okay. All right. And then also, you need to make sure you look at your essential questions for chapter 1. Okay, which is the same unit as the prologue appendix A. Okay, but there are 2 of them, and they are right here. Okay. Again, this doc is on Canvas. I'm going to read them. So I would do the same thing here. So essential question number 1, how does the methodology of the research affect the outcome of the study? Okay, so, we have different research methods. What are pros and cons about each one? Okay, answer the foundational part, the question completely, and then try to pull in vocab terms from each chapter. Okay, go down, chapter 2, which is biology. Okay, you can pull out anything in there about studying the brain, investigating the brain. MRI, fMRI, so on and so forth, okay? 3, genetics and hereditability, nature nurture. You can pull out the twin studies, right? Okay? So you can pull out any word or any term from any chapter that deals with research, then you've got it. And I would just keep going like that until with the first question, okay? Go down all your chapters 1 through 15 and make sure you can pull out a term. Number 2 is how do ethical guidelines impact psychological research, right? And same thing. Okay, so again, we have talked about forever that psychology is a little bit different in a science because we investigate, research on people, right? People, okay, not on gases or elements. Okay, we investigate and research on things you cannot lock up in a lab, right? That have rights and ethics. So we are much more constrained. It creates much more of a problem with reliable research. Okay. All right, so you've got 2 EQs there, okay? One is over basically the research methods and how they can impact the validity and reliability of the research, and then how ethical constraints can also do that, all right? So we talked about one of the big ethical constraints is it's very, very difficult to do an experiment in psychology because we can't control people, all right? It's not legal. So we do a lot of tests, right? Which then again, makes it hard to show cause and effect. Okay, so those would be things you could talk about there in that one, which we talked about tremendously in chapter 1. Okay, remember the Mozart effect? We looked at that study quite in depth as an example. And we looked at a couple other research things that you should have in your notes there, right? Okay, now just some big terms again that are found in the AP learning targets that you need to make sure that you know. Okay, validity and reliability, all right? We have been over and over and over. You used them as part of questions for quizzes and your journal critique. Okay, 3 lines, again, remember it's been mentioned several times. So these are big key terms. Validity is, am I measuring what I'm supposed to measure? Am I measuring personality? Am I measuring intelligence? Okay, whatever I'm supposed to be measuring, I need to make sure that my method, that my materials, the tools, the tests that I'm using actually measure what it is that I'm trying to measure, okay? Reliability, replication, and same results, right? If I repeat it, will I get the same results, okay? And don't forget, in the critique, you did external and internal validity. Again, you had to critique both areas. External validity is who can my results apply to, right? Which my research methods can dictate that, okay? I want my subjects, my sample, to represent a large population. The larger population that can be represented in my research, the better. That means that I can apply the results to more people, right? And then internal validity is the internal workings of the research. Whatever method I did, whatever tools and measures I used, materials I used, what was it done well, okay? If I did an experiment, was it done well? If I used a survey, was the survey reliable? Had it been used before? Has it been shown to test what I'm hoping to test? That type of thing. So external, outside, internal, inside, okay? Make sure you know the difference between qualitative and quantitative, right? And this is all stuff I think you need to have right on the top of your head before you even take the AP exam. Again, you have 15 minutes to write this one. You're not gonna have time to look up stuff. So I just would continually pound this stuff into your head, okay? So qualitative versus quantitative, okay? Again, in psych, we use a lot of qualitative research methods, right? Which are descriptive, right? They're not cause and effect, okay? Because with these methods, I don't have a control group, right? Which again, in psychology is a little bit more difficult. Quantitative is cause and effect, okay? These are all research methods that actually have a control group or a placebo group, okay? But we're generally over here. We're descriptive in our nature in psychology, just because it's hard to ethically control people, okay? Make sure you know all the research methods, okay? Everything starting from, remember, case study, survey, observation, correlation, test, and then experiment, okay? Make sure you know stats, the term statistical significant, again, which is big, okay? And then also make sure you know basic stats on variance. Again, remember, we don't, standard deviation, range, we don't want a lot of variance in our stats, okay? Operational definition, this is actually a learning target, okay? It's very important that we operationally define every aspect and every step of the research so it can be replicated, and then we can prove reliability, right? Okay, operationally defined leads to replication. Replication can lead to reliability, okay? All right, so I have to be able to repeat it. And in order for me to be able to repeat it, again, as you looked up your research journals, they had to outline specifically step by step by step, tell you the materials they used, the processes that they used, how they got their subjects, random selection versus random assignment. Make sure you know that, okay? They had to kind of explain everything so that I could then read their journal and then do it again. I could replicate it, okay? And then don't forget about confounding variables down there, okay? Again, confounding variables are variables that ended up impacting the results, but I was not planning on them, okay? So remember on the Mozart effect, on that original study, was it really the Mozart music that caused the effect, or was it the practice effect? Okay, we talked about that as a confounding variable, all right? They had the subjects practice the task over and over, so naturally they're gonna get better at it. So there's a confounding variable, all right? So confounding variables, again, are when I'm doing my research, they're any variable or item that I wasn't planning on influencing my results, but probably did, and that I need to specify and identify so that they can be controlled for in the next replication of it, okay? So obviously you have your independent, dependent variable, control variables, but confounding is the big word, okay? Confounding variables are variables that influence my results, but I wasn't planning on it, Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I would have all of these terms, all of these concepts just locked and loaded into my brain before I, even entered the test. Okay. Because again, I think you're going to have time with number one to look up some stuff if you need to real quick, because you've got 25 minutes with that one. So I think you'll have some time there, to polish up, to make sure you're good to go and then go. Here, I still think you're going to have it. So make sure all this stuff is ready to go. You have it right there. Okay. On your dial, remember that, your consciousness dial, make sure one of them is full of the research critique information and you're ready to switch to that dial as soon as you get to this question. Okay. All right. Again, it has been an honor. You guys are prepped for this test. You guys are going to do well. So, get some rest, relax. You can also go back and watch the video on just simple things that you can do to get your brain locked and loaded and ready to be focused, attentive, to recall information better. So if you go back to remember that. So have a good breakfast, get a good night's rest. Again, make sure you sleep. Anything less than 8 hours, again, you don't want cortisol in your brain, so the stress hormone. So anything under 8, you generally are going to be a little bit more stressed. So have a good breakfast. Make sure you're hydrated. Okay, just make sure you're in a good place to where your brain can function at optimal, and then you'll be fine. Okay. Again, with anything, if you have any questions about any of the prep videos, 1 to 12. Again, they're all pretty short. They're all about 10 minutes long or less. So you could pop them in again. Again, you have tons of resources this year on your survival guide on Canvas. Okay, Fiveable, College Board, AP Central. Just make sure you check those out as well. Look at your essential questions, and then just let me know. I look forward to hearing all the good and positive, which happens every year when my students take the AP test. You guys will be good. Just make sure you're prepped and you're ready, and you'll be fine. Okay, contact me if you have any questions, and good luck. May the force be with you.